Can you maybe walk us through how you would approach creatively, just say like a K-pop record versus a Latin record? Because there must be a different thought process behind tackling the um, sonic results of each one, is there not?
Yeah. You kind of go back to what I was saying earlier about the chords. I think Keith Richards said, music is a language that doesn't speak in particular words, it speaks in emotions. And if it's in the bones, it's in the bones. I think the chords dictate the feeling, and we use that as sort of a directional anchor point, the coordinates to the feeling. And I think from there, you're just assessing the genre and the rhythms that are native to whatever genre you're doing, and then finding ways to make those unique, not so left field that they don't fit within the genre, but find new ways to do those rhythms. And outside of structure, everything else is just the chords and the feeling, and then figuring out the drum patterns. All right, let's dive into how I would approach a K-pop record and how that differs from like a Latin record. The biggest differentiators you're going to notice are drums and structure. So on a K-pop record, they tend to have more sections, and this is not a general rule. You can do anything you want. I'm just sort of generalizing to get a point across, and obviously you can play with structure, etc. So K-pop records are going to have mainly your verse and then a pre-hook that goes into a chordal melodic part leading into a big either drop or magnified version of the verse. So with this record, I started with the musical element, and then obviously the second being the drums. You're going to have a different drum pattern. So I started with this. And now I could have taken this, if it was going to be a Latin record, taking this part, you could just go into like a, right? Or you could go into a trap record, a trap vibe. But so we're going pop. So I added some snaps and then add some 808s. Little kick and some claps. And that's the main foundational bed. Now that part is kind of monotone, so now we're going to go into that pre-hook I was talking about where we go into like a chordal section. And then that gets us back into the bigger hook. So now there's more going on, there's more chants. And then from there, you could even go into a post hook or another section. But that is the differentiator. Again, starting with the music, the chords, the musical element, and then finding the beat that sort of helps dictate the genre. But obviously, you play with that and make it your own. All right, let's talk a little bit about how I would approach a Latin record. And to be honest, it wouldn't be that much different than I would approach a rap record, a K-pop record, a pop record. I'm usually starting with chords. So the chords, the coordinates, they're dictating the energy, the direction. Is this a party record? Is this emotional? Are we telling a love story? And the lyrics and the chord feelings don't always have to match, but at least for me, it's a good starting point if I'm just starting with a track. So in this instance, I played some plucks and sort of a melodic part to start. And then once I have that, I usually try to find a sound that is unique that I can add on top of that. So in this case, there was a vocal chop. And then what I like to do is take the same thing. If it's in the beginning and the hook, I'll just change it up slightly and use it as pieces of the verse. So here we've got sort of an open verse. And then when it comes in on the second half, a modified version of that. And now that we have our foundation, we go, okay, what direction are we going in? This is going to be a Latin record. Do we want it to be a reggaeton style Latin record? Where do we want it to go? And so, the cool thing about coming up with great musical ideas first is that you can put it in so many genres. So this could be a trap record, like or a hip hop record, you could go funk dance, right? 4 on the floor. But for this instance, we're going Lat. So a lot of what dictates genres is the drums. At least that's been my experience. So here we've got some drums that I added in. Now we'll add a bass in, give it a little movement. And then just coming back to the hook, I'll tie in that, that ear candy element from the beginning, and that's how I would approach a Latin record. If I'm working with an artist and we're bringing in writers, obviously I would utilize writers that are more familiar with that genre, make sure that the room is populated with people who can really get us the best sound in that area. And then my job is to take that and try to push it left a little bit. And I think the key is to not go so far left that you've alienated everybody, and not go so into the genre that it's corny and you've heard it a million times.